Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from Alcest, Spiritual Instinct, out October 25th on Nuclear Blast. This album has 6 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and this is the band's 6th full-length studio album. A few words to describe this record: dark, very dark, atmospheric, introspective, self-discovery, spiritual, and melancholic. To me, all of these words really describe the texture, the feel that this record has to offer, not only from a musical perspective, but also from a vocal perspective. This album has a complex simplicity to it. What I mean by that is that at the first glance, the overall structure of the record appears to be very simple, very straightforward. There's no deviations. It's really a very linear album from that perspective. The moment you start diving deeper into the record, you realize how complex it really is. How complex, the complexity in each song is really driven by the music, the vocals, and the overall atmosphere that they bring together. So each song has a very unique structure, has a very unique feel, a very unique approach, musically and vocally. But then when you put them all together, it gives the overall album this very simple feel. It gives it this blanket of simplicity, while underneath everything is just boiling. Almost, if you think about it, it's like the ocean. It could be calm at the surface, but underneath the surface, there's raging currents moving things around. This album has that feel to it. It has this really false sense of simplicity to it, while being extremely complex underneath. The sound of this record, in my opinion, is definitely rooted in black metal. That is where the roots of the album are. That's where the roots of the sound are, but it's not held by it. It really allows the album to explode into a lot of different directions and really push the envelope with a lot of different songs. But black metal is definitely the main part, the main DNA of this album, in the sound that this album has to offer. This album is heavy from a very different perspectives. Perhaps not just heavy from a musical sense, but it's also heavy from the emotional baggage that carries with it. Perhaps heavier from that perspective. The atmospheric elements that the album has, the overall mood that the album has, is a lot heavier sometimes than the music itself. The music becomes heavy because it carries that emotion with it. That's how this album is put together. The spirituality of the album really offers a connection between that emotional baggage and the overall feel that the record has towards the listener, that gives to the listener. So I really like that. I really like that interconnection. You really feel like you're taking on a journey, and this is one of those albums that I highly recommend you guys listening to it on repeat, because the album has 6 tracks. It's not short by any means. It's 41 minutes in length, but when you listen to it on repeat, you just feel like the journey is getting extended, and you're feeling that you're learning more with every time the album goes through. So this is one of those records that I highly recommend listening to on repeat at least the first time, because it just allows the album to come full circle and allows for your experience to be one that is also full circle, that you feel like you've gone through all the different stages, that you've grown with the album. As the album grows spiritually, so do you as the listener. So I really feel that there's that interconnection between the atmosphere of the record, the vocals, the music, and then you, the listener, as you engage the album during that listening experience. The sound overall, if you want to go deeper into the sound of the record, I like the fact that this record does not hide any instruments whatsoever. The bass is noticeable. The drums are definitely noticeable. The percussions on this album are phenomenal. And the guitar riffs, the guitar melodies are just magnificent. And this album is filled with great melodies and great guitar riffs. So this is an album that, when you're looking from the overall picture of the sound and how it's put together, doesn't really hide anything. It just really uses every single instrument, every single element that it has within its reach to really emphasize the overall feel that the record has, to emphasize the overall message and atmosphere that the album has. And that, to me, is extremely important for an album like this. You really cannot afford to lose any of those elements, because all of them are important in the overall journey that this album takes you on. Vocally, I love the range in vocals on this album. From the melancholic to the more aggressive, this album really has a little bit of everything as far as vocals are concerned. I also like the atmospheric elements that the vocals bring to the album. The vocals are not just there to be there. There's a sense and purpose in it. And to me, the mood that the vocals give to the song really reflects the journey that you're going on, not only on the overall record, but on each individual track. You see a change in dynamics from a vocal perspective within songs. I'm not only talking about changes between tracks. Within the same song, you see not only from a musical side tempo changes, you also see a vocal approach change. And those changes are very important to really reflect the overall mood that the track has, to reflect the state of mind of that specific song, of where you were at the beginning of the song, where you are in the middle of the song, and then where you end up at the end of the song. So all of that is reflected on the style, on how the vocals were used, on the approach, on the tone of the vocals. All of these things played an important factor in the album. That's why I say the album is so complex, because you can't just look at the surface. You really have to start paying attention to all of these different details. Start listening to a song and realize what style of vocals were used at the beginning, what style were used in the middle, what style were used at the end of the track, and how those interconnected with the overall atmosphere that the song had. How did they interact with the overall sound? How was the sound at the beginning? What kind of growth, what kind of learning experience did you gain from that song, and how the music and the vocals were put together? That is the kind of level of complexity that you really have with this record. Absolutely phenomenal. It's an album that just it doesn't matter how many times you listen to this album, you're always going to feel like you're one step behind and you haven't really been able to understand the full picture. And that is a great thing, because it allows you to come back to it time and time again in hopes to finally putting all the pieces of the puzzle together and finally understanding what the overall picture is. That is this record. That is Spiritual Instinct by Alcest. As far as songs are concerned, I'm going to start with Les Jardins de Minuit. The opening bass riff really sets the table for the rest of the track. The guitar riff is dark, is haunting, but that bass that starts off, it's really almost the heartbeat of the rest of this song. The vocals come in with a humming, and the melody, the melody that they have in that humming, it really feels like there's an escalation. It really feels like there's building up towards something, and it's building up towards a wall of sound that eventually will come at you. The walls finally come down, that sound breaks through, and then it becomes really a black metal driven track at that point. You really feel the rawness of it, you feel the aggression that the song has. The song progresses, the tempos change. This is a song that's really driven by the tempo changes and the haunting vocals. To me, this is all about those two elements. This is a song that's really about those two different components and how they intertwine all the way throughout the track. I love the fact that you never feel comfortable within this song. The constant tempo changes that it has, it's always switching on you. The hauntingness that the vocals have and how they change to sometimes a little bit more melancholic, a little bit more intensive. So the dynamic between the tempo changes of the track and the vocal changes within the track is really what gives life to this song, and it's really what propels it forward. Great way to start off the album. This is the first song on the album, so it's a great way to get your foot in the door as far as this record is concerned. Next, L'Île des Morts. The percussion driven into this song really creates a great bass line. While the previous song started off more with a bass riff that really set up the table for the track, this one is all about the percussions, not just at the beginning of the song, but throughout the song. The vocals add definitely an atmospheric element to this song. It gives an overall feel, an overall track texture to the sound of the track. It really feels like the vocals, the way they come at you, they really at the beginning, they really feel like a morning breeze that comes over the song, just like this breeze hitting some wind chimes. That's the feel that you get from the opening vocals on this song. The vocals evolve as well as the track evolves. So the vocals that you get at the beginning is not going to be the vocals that you're going to get throughout the song. Same thing with the overall mood and atmosphere of the song. The song evolves musically and vocally throughout. It becomes a little bit more aggressive. It becomes almost like it loses its emotional control vocally more than musically. Musically, it feels like the song is a lot more controlled. There's a lot more restraints musically on this track, but vocally it feels like a complete loss of self-control as the song progresses. That is one of the key elements of this track, without a doubt. There is a stripped down bridge in the song that really simmers everything. It simmers the aggression, it simmers the intensity, and allows the song to then pick up back in intensity again and come full circle to how it started. It doesn't sound necessarily exactly how it started, but a lot of those same emotions, a lot of those same feelings, that same intensity, it's present not only in the vocals but also in the music. So this is one of those tracks that absolutely goes full circle. Last but not least, Spiritual Instinct, the last song on the album. I really believe that this is the perfect closing track to the album because it's a song that, in my opinion, incorporates all the elements that are present on this record throughout. It's a song that really captures a little bit of everything that was present in the previous 5 songs, which is great percussions, great melody, incredible driven guitar riffs, haunting vocals, changes in tempos. So this is a song that really incorporates all the best elements that you have from the previous 5 tracks, puts them all into one song, and then it closes off the record in that way. I really like that aspect of the track. I really like this song as a closing song. It really is a song that really allows the vocals to come in and bring a certain mood, a certain atmosphere. The vocals on this track are able to bring the mood of the track down and elevate it at the same time within the same space. Absolutely phenomenal approach and a phenomenal way of closing down the album. The feeling of reaching a light at the end of the tunnel after a very tumultuous journey, that is the overall vibe that you're going to get from this track. You really feel like this is the coming to an end song. You really feel like you're reaching the last steps on that journey, and you're finally gaining a little bit of self-awareness. You're finally understanding a little bit better about your own spirituality, about yourself, your inner thoughts, your inner demons. This song is almost that perfect conclusion to what this album had to offer all the way to this point. Love this as the closing track. Love this song because it just allowed me to feel like there was an end at the end of it, and not let me feel like I got a cliffhanger and what's going to happen next. So there was a sense of conclusion to this song, and that to me was very important for an album that there was this draining listening to it all the way here. All right, guys, this is it. This is Alcest Spiritual Instinct, out October 25th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the record, on the singles that they've released. Use the comment section below. As always, I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.